Wednesday is an American horror comedy television series produced in 2022. The Wednesday series tells the story of Wednesday Addams Jenna Ortega, the eldest daughter of the Addams family, who has supernatural abilities with an eccentric gothic appearance. Wednesday likes to wear clothes and makeup in all black shades. She also likes to give sarcastic opinions to everything. Because of her eccentric abilities and appearance, Wednesday is often considered strange. The Addams family's strange habits in educating children made Wednesday so violently a method of torture. Until one day, Wednesday found his younger brother, Huxley Isaac Ordonez, being bullied by students from the swim club, not accepting the treatment of the swimming club members. Wednesday then takes revenge. While the swim club members are practicing in the pool, Wednesday releases two plastic bags full of piranha fish. Because of this, Wednesday was expelled from school. However, instead of being sad, Wednesday's parents welcomed him happily. As it turns out, Wednesday's expulsion allowed his parents to send Wednesday to Nevermore Academy. Nevermore Academy is the school where Wednesday's parents studied when they were young. The school is also a school for people with supernatural powers who are excluded from society, or what is known as the outcast. Even though at first Wednesday often rebelled and didn't like Nevermore Academy, gradually he was able to adapt to the environment at Nevermore Academy. Until one day, Wednesday saw murder committed by a mysterious monster. Wednesday is interested in the case and conducts an independent investigation. However, unexpectedly, this investigation leads Wednesday to a mystery that outcasts the history of his own ancestors. Here's the history of the Addams Wednesday family ancestor. The outcast daughter of the Addams family franchise is said to hate colonialism and the Pilgrims. Who are the Pilgrims? In the series, the Pilgrims are told as newcomers to the land of Jericho, a forested area in New England, Vermont, United States. Jericho's founder, Joseph Crackstone, was one of the original Pilgrims who ruled and colonized them. Joseph Crackstone was known to dislike outcasts, people with powers beyond reason. Because of this, he used violence on the Native Americans of Jericho, including Wednesday's ancestors. The Pilgrims were English people who sailed to America on the Mayflower in 1620 and founded Plymouth Colony. The colony settled in the land they named New England. Later, the Pilgrims also became a term for English people who came later and lived in Plymouth starting in the 1620s, as quoted from the Plymouth Patuxent Museum page. Pilgrims itself basically means people who travel long distances for religious or moral purposes, generally abroad. The Pilgrims sailed across the continent, primarily wanting new and separated churches. Besides the few who departed for economic reasons, these people are called separatists. Their desires were dangerous opinions in their time because in the 1600s it was illegal to establish a church other than the Church of England. Later, the Pilgrims also became a term for English people who came later and lived in Plymouth starting in the 1620s, as quoted from the Plymouth Patuxent Museum page. Pilgrims itself basically means people who travel long distances for religious or moral purposes, generally abroad. The Pilgrims sailed across the continent, primarily wanting new and separated churches. Besides the few who departed for economic reasons, these people are called separatists. Their desires were dangerous opinions in their time. because in the 1600s it was illegal to establish a church other than the Church of England. England was originally a Roman Catholic nation until 1530. King Henry VIII created the National Church of the Church of England and made himself head of the church. Together with his son, Queen Elizabeth I reigned 1558 to 1603. King Henry changed some of the church rules, but they were considered too much like the Roman Catholic Church. Later, people emerged who wanted to return to simpler beliefs and worship practices, such as early Christianity. The people who wanted to restore the purity of the church were called Puritans. Well, then came the Separatists, people who later became the Pilgrims. Separatists want new and separate church formations separated. In order to be able to carry out their beliefs safely, those who were originally based in Nottinghamshire, England, moved to the Netherlands. For 12 years, they traded clothes, became carpenters, tailors, and printers. Because living overseas is difficult, their children have to work. A number of separatist children that became more interested in Dutch culture. They chose to live as sailors or soldiers, worried about their economic condition, their family losing their British identity, and worried that a Dutch-Spanish war would erupt. The separatists brought their family to sail to America with funds from investors. In the agreement, they will sail and live 7 years in a house near New York City, now using funds from investors in exchange for wood, fish, and furs. Originally, there were 2 charter ships sailing from England, namely Speedwell and Mayflower. However, because the Speedwell leaked twice to return to England, only 100 people continued to sail the Mayflower for 66 days. They are the so-called Pilgrims. The Pilgrims live on land controlled by the Wampanoag people, a Native American tribe that has inhabited the area near Massachusetts for about 12,000 years, as quoted by The Guardian. In March 1621, Pilgrim colonists and Native Americans made a treaty of mutual protection. The Wampanoag-Wampanoag leader, Assamequin, also named Massasoit by the Pilgrims. The Wampanoag people, who by that time had experienced kidnapping, enslavement, and 70% of them died from the plague of European colonists that had come earlier, then wanted to ally themselves with the British. The hope is that they can be safe from their opponents, the Narragansett people. They promise not to hurt each other and not to use weapons. If there is theft, the perpetrators are returned to their respective groups to be punished. They also promise to be allies in time of war. Squanto, a Pawtuxet Wampanoag man, who had been held hostage by British sailors in London, became a mediator and lived with the Pilgrims colonists and told them to grow Indian corn. In the fall of 1621, their first corn harvest, celebrated for 3 days with a meal with Massasoit and 90 members of his tribe. This first Thanksgiving tradition later became the root of the tradition of Thanksgiving celebrations in America. However, conflict broke out between the Native Americans and the Pilgrims as English settlers followed and took control of more and more local land. One of them was during the King Philip War in 1675, which left the Wampanoag leader, Metacom, killed along with 5,000 New England residents, 3/4 of whom were Native Americans. The natives who survived became slaves. The Pilgrims' colony of Plymouth was not as successful as the Puritan colony of New England. Key members of the early Pilgrims, such as Brewster, Winslow, and Standish, left the group and formed new communities, history reports. The cost of King Philip's War also made it difficult for the Pilgrims' colonies 1692, the people of Plymouth finally dissolved in the Massachusetts area.